E-bikes are for lazy people and they might as well be cheating. Or at least that's what I've heard some people say. So I thought, let's put this to the test and see what's faster and what burns more calories, me on a superbike or me on an e-bike. Let's do it. So how am I going to go about testing this? Well, I'm going to need two bikes. First up, I'm going to have the Orbea Gain e-bike. It has an e-bike motion X35 rear hub motor. This produces 250 watts or 40 Newton meters of assistance. It provides that assistance at speeds of up to 25 kilometers an hour. Above that is all down to me. The e-bike has 3 different assistance levels, low, medium and high. I'm going to use it on the highest setting for the experiment. And it's also fitted with Shimano's Ultegra Di2 group set, along with some 40mm deep carbon fiber aero wheels. And for the Superbike, I'm going to use the new Orbea Orca Aero. It represents the latest in aerodynamic technology and superbikes. It's fitted with Shimano's Dura-Ace 9200 group set, and it's also got the wheels that match up with the group set. It also has some fancy aerodynamic accessories, including a UCI illegal aerodynamic fairing. This bike weighs in at 7.9 kilograms, whereas the e-bike weighs in at 11.7. Clearly, two very different bikes designed with different purposes in mind. But my experiment is also going to find out just how much difference the 25 km/h assistance speed limit plays, because in theory, when I'm riding as fast as I possibly can, I'll ride at speeds far greater than 25 kilometers an hour, which means I might just be carrying the extra weight of the e-bike round and having very little assistance from it at all. So I'm going to need a course to test these bikes out. The link in the description down below will take you to Komoot, where you can check the route out yourself should you wish to test your times against mine. The course goes up a significant climb to start, it has an undulating middle section, and then finishes at the top of a fairly significant climb. There's 330 meters of elevation across the route, and it's 16.5 kilometers long. So how about the tests themselves? Well, for the first test and experiment, I'm going to ride at a much more controlled and consistent power, much like what you'd see a beginner or entry-level cyclist riding at. I'm going to ride in a controlled and consistent body position as well, and when I cycle up the 2 climbs, so the one at the start and one at the end, I'm going to ride at 200 watts, and throughout the middle undulating section, I'm going to target 150 watts. For the second part of the test that I'm going to do, I'm simply going to ride both bikes on the same course, but try to go as fast as I possibly can to get the quickest time that I can do on that day. Now, I'm not going to try to ride at the same power on the second part of the test. It's all going to be about going as fast as possible. So I guess all I need to do now is head home, get kitted up, head out on the road, and then conduct the easy test today. And then tomorrow, when I've had time for have a little rest, I'll go out and ride as fast as possible on the e-bike and the superbike. And I suppose all that's left to do is have a nice little montage of some cool music, and then I'll see you back here to discuss the results and hopefully be telling you how much faster the superbike is. So I've got laps 1 and 2 done. I've been out on the e-bike first, and then I've been out on my Orbea Orca Aero, brand new. And those were the first tests where I was riding at a fairly consistent and reserved power, which I'm not gonna lie, on the normal Aero road bike was incredibly slow and painful. But, you know, in the interest of science, just gotta go through the process of it. So what I'll do is I'll get home, get changed, get sorted out, and then I'll get kitted up again tomorrow, and I'll hit the road, repeat the same experiment, but I'm going to go full gas on both bikes, and well, we'll see how they stack up when the speed is turned up a notch. Right, see you back here tomorrow. First lap of today done. That is the full gas effort on the e-bike, so getting as fast as I can possibly ride from point A to point B on my lap. Today is all about getting everything out, going as fast as possible. I certainly feel like I've done that on the e-bike, so let's head back to GCN Megabase, aka my house, and get onto the Superbike. Deep breath, and I'll give it my all again. Right, see you out on the road. Oh, goodness me, I think I need a minute. Right, genuinely, I just finished the hard effort on the Orca Aero. Still out of breath, and it's probably safe to say I left it all out there on the road. I haven't gone that deep for quite a while now, maybe since 5 versus 1 when we had to beat Sai finally. But I don't know what the scores are yet. I'll get back, I'll upload my rides, maybe put some fresh clothes on, and we'll sit down and we'll discuss the results. Maybe even over a cup of tea. Right, see you in a bit. Right, I've made it back to GCN Megabase, so it only makes sense now to discuss the results of my little experiment. Now, I did have all of the data and times written out on a little scrap of paper, but I thought, you know what, that's messy. So I've typed it up on my laptop, and I suppose the first thing we should do is discuss the results of the experiment when I was riding at a more lower and controlled power. So let me run you through the results for the Superbike first. I'll give you the times and then the average stats such as power, heart rate and speed. So the Superbike, I did a time of 51 minutes and 7 seconds, and an average power of 167 watts. Heart rate average was 99 beats a minute, and I've got an average speed of 19.5 kilometers. Now, in terms of the calories or kilojoules of energy that I've burnt, it's 511 kilojoules of energy, which equates to around 122 calories. Now, I've broken my route down into 3 different split sections. So we've got a time for the first climb, a time for the middle section, and then also a time for the final climb. Now, looking at those splits, I've got a first split of 9 minutes 55 seconds, middle section at 31 minutes 56 seconds, and the final split or climb is 9 minutes and 30 seconds. So how does that stack up to ride in the same sort of controlled effort and power, but when I had the assistance of the e-bike? Right, let me read you out the stats. We've got 38 minutes and 45 seconds with an average power of 160 watts, average heart rate of 100 beats a minute, and 25.7 kilometers an hour. So similar sort of power, similar sort of heart rate. Clearly I've gone much faster, but the difference in calories, we've got 371 kilojoules of energy, which equates to 88 calories burnt. And the split times from that course for the e-bike are first split 5 minutes 51, second split 27 minutes and 26 seconds, and then the final climb 5 minutes and 24 seconds. So overall, the e-bike has gone 12 minutes and 24 seconds faster than what I could on the Superbike. That is incredible. Now, if I also look at some of the split times, on average, I've gone between 4 and 5 minutes faster on each of the different splits. I mean, 4 minutes, 4 seconds, and then the last one was like 3 minutes 50. So it varies around that 4-minute marker really. So let's just pause for a minute, because 12 minutes, well, and 24 seconds is a significant amount faster. And I guess it really highlights why there's that draw and appeal towards e-bikes. I mean, imagine if you could save about 20 minutes a day off of your time if you commuted into work, for example. That's certainly not to be sniffed at. But what about the difference in terms of the calories burned? Because clearly I've burnt nearly 40 or so calories less when I'm riding the e-bike. And that is purely down to the difference in activity time. So even though I've ridden the same distance, the same route, the same elevation, and a fairly consistent effort level from me, it's purely down to the fact that I've simply spent less time exercising. So that is something to bear in mind should you try and switch your normal bike for an e-bike over your commute, for example. You are going to burn slightly less calories. And in order to burn that same amount of calories, you need to do the same effort level and activity time. So bear that in mind and maybe hold off that extra biscuit. So let's have a look at test 2, where I'm trying to ride as fast as possible. So first up, the results for the Superbike. We've got a time of 32 minutes and 31 seconds, an average power of 298 watts, an average heart rate of 152 beats, and an average speed of 30.5 kilometers an hour. Now, the calories and energy that I burnt on the Superbike was 581 kilojoules or 138 calories. The split times are as follows for the Superbike: 5 minutes 42, 21 minutes 39, and then 5 minutes and 7 seconds. So what about the results of the e-bike riding as fast as possible? Because I was really sort of apprehensive to see what the difference was, and I thought before I conducted the experiment that on the Superbike I would be significantly faster. So let's find out. So e-bike splits, well, the times overall, sorry, 31 minutes and 47 seconds, so super close. Average power, we've got 289 watts, 141 beats a minute average speed of 31.3 kilometers an hour, and then 550 kilojoules or 131 watts. So then the split times here: 4 minutes 34, 23 minutes 14, and 3 minutes 56. So overall, when riding as fast as possible, I was still 44 seconds faster on the e-bike. I mean, how? Because in theory, well, not in theory, I proved it when I was out riding. Throughout most of the course, the e-bike wasn't even providing me with any assistance. I suppose what it highlights is that at the slower speeds on the two climbs, the one at the start and the one at the finish, the e-bike gives you such a big advantage that it took almost all of that middle section for me on the Superbike to claw back the time deficit that I'd lost on the first climbs. Now, throughout that middle sector, I was clearly faster on the Superbike. Now, according to the split times here, I was 1 minute and 35 seconds faster. And I went into the final climb 30 or 40 seconds ahead of the time that I was doing on the e-bike. But the big difference was I absolutely blitzed all the way up the final climb on the e-bike just because I've got that additional assistance to help me go as fast as possible. And then as such, I overhauled that deficit and finished 44 seconds ahead. So overall, what is the takeaway from this experiment? Well, e-bikes are definitely not for lazy people, but you do need to bear in mind that unless you're riding your e-bike for the same amount of time as you would ride your normal bike, you are going to burn slightly less calories. Is it significant? Not really, but it is something to bear in mind. To add insult to injury, the e-bike was even fitted with slightly slower and heavier winter tyres and butyl inner tubes, whereas the Superbike was fitted with lightweight Pirelli P0 tubeless tyres. God, that just makes me feel even worse. I hope you enjoyed my experiment and found it interesting. I know I certainly did. And I am keen to hear your thoughts on the whole e-bike subject. So let me know in the comments section down below about that. And I look forward to reading what you all have to say. And I suppose all that's left for me to say is that, well, I'm gonna head out and buy myself an e-bike, I think. See ya.